السلام عليكم. النهاردة إن شاء الله هنشتغل مع بعض lecture 4 for week 6 making summaries. Last class we studied how to write a formal letter, and we have studied a sample formal letter. You had an assignment, and inshallah we will see these assignments when you return to your university. Let's start our today's class, making summaries. I know it's not your first time to study how to make summaries, but we have to recollect our old information in order to use them in our scientific study or in our study of science. As I told you before, we're not studying general English, general language. We are studying certain skills that are needed for our study in a medical college and for our senior life, inshallah. Making summaries, you need to make summaries when you write, when you are reading for a paper, reading for to make a research. You need to make a summary when you are studying for the exam. You usually summarize your parts of your books, parts of your lectures, certain PDF papers, etc. So let's remember how to make summaries in order to be able to make them, inshallah. General rules. We'll study general rules for making summaries. It's very easy, very simple. Number 1, read the whole passage to understand the main subject. Read the whole passage. Read the whole passage in order to understand the main subject. It's not correct to make a summary sentence by sentence or paragraph by paragraph. If you want to make a summary, you have to read the whole passage. If it's a page, you have to read the whole page. 2 pages, you have to read the whole pages first before starting making anything or before starting writing anything. نقرأ القطعة كاملة الأول، نفهم هي بتتكلم عن إيه في المجمل، وبعدين نبدأ نشتغل. إنما نحن نعمل summary sentence by sentence, this is not correct. Number 2, ignore. Number 2, ignore the introductions and topic sentences. Ignore the introductions and topic sentences. We have studied before that any piece of writing, a paragraph, an essay, an article, etc., has an introduction. If it is an essay or it is an article, a group of paragraphs, there must be an introduction, an introductory paragraph. Just read it, but don't write anything from this introduction. If you are summarizing a paragraph, ignore the topic sentence. Don't summarize the topic sentence. Don't put the topic sentence in your summary. يبقى خلاص عرفنا ان المقدمات في اي قطعة ما بنلخص فيها شيء، احنا بس بنفهم منها القطعة بتتكلم عن ايه عشان نقدر نتابع، لكن we don't take from the introductions and put in the summary. Introductions are not needed in the summary. When you are writing a summary, don't write an introduction in the summary. Go directly in your subject, into your summary. ندخل مباشرة في الموضوع بتاعنا بدون مقدمات. يبقى number 1, read the whole passage. Number 2, ignore the introductions. Number 3, ignore exclamations, jokes, and rhetorical questions. Usually, most frequently, you find exclamations, جمل تعجبية. Ignore them. Don't write them in your summary. Don't summarize them. You may find jokes. تلاقي جمل كده في النص عشان تلفت انتباهك أو تصحصحك كده في القراءة أو تأكد على المعنى بشكل أو بآخر. هي jokes, certain jokes, ignore them. They are not needed in your summary. And rhetorical questions اللي نقول عليها الأسئلة البلاغية. Don't you know? Do you agree? These questions they are not needed in your summary. يبقى في summary, read well, ignore introductions, topic sentences, exclamations, jokes, and rhetorical questions. Don't summarize them and don't write any types of these sentences in your summary. A summary should not or must not include introductions or topic sentences. It mustn't include exclamation, jokes, or rhetorical questions. What else? Don't write questions. Don't write questions in the main passage or in the main original text. If there is a question in the main text, don't rewrite it in your summary, but search for its answer and write the answer directly. يبقى a summary shouldn't contain, or a summary doesn't contain questions. A summary doesn't contain questions, but if there are questions in the original text, answer them in your summary or put the answer in your summary. And of course the answer is summarized itself. يعني لو انت عندك سؤال في القطعة الأصلية اللي انت بتعمل لها السمري ما تنقلش السؤال، انما هتدور على الإجابة وهتلخصها وتكتبها في السمري بتاعك مباشرة. يبقى don't write questions. If there are many important questions, answer them and then summarize the answer in 1 or 2 sentences. A summary shouldn't be too long. A summary is usually determined in the question. The summary length is determined in the question. Number 5, don't. If you notice احنا عندنا مجموعة من النواهي في writing summary. أنا عمالة أقول لكم أول حاجة بس قلت read، بعد كده قلت ignore، don't. يعني خلي بالنا من الحاجات دي ما نعملهاش. نكتفي بس ب important information and essential information that are essentially needed. Number 5, don't write examples. Don't write examples. If you have many examples in your original text, don't write them. Maybe when you read, you may sense or you may feel that every sentence is important, every example is important, but actually not everything is important. They are important for you when you read in details. لما بتقرأ بالتفصيل، عايز تقرأ بالتفصيل. But when you are writing a summary, you are giving hints, just hints, main points, the main points. And if the reader is interested, he will reread, will start to read in the whole or the original text. انت بتعطي السمري والقارئ لو مهتم بالموضوع هيرجع يقرأ التكست الأصلي من بدايته بتفاصيله. لكن السمري ما يبقاش فيه تفاصيل، السمري فيه points، نقاط هامة فقط. عشان كده بنقول don't write examples. If there are many necessary examples on one point, choose the most important one. And there are many examples, I feel they are very important. Okay, choose the most important one, and write it, but not all of them. For example, you have 3 or 4 examples, don't write them. If there is one, or if they are very important, choose one of them, the most important one. If they are not important or I can do without them, ignore them, all of them. Don't write any one of them. Okay. Number 6, don't use synonyms. Don't use synonyms. المترادفات. In the original text, you have words like very well and perfect. Example for so and so. Very well and perfect. Choose one of them. Perfect is enough because very well are 2 words, but perfect is 1 word, so it's enough. Perfect is enough. So don't repeat the meanings. Don't repeat the meanings. نلاقي كذا كلمة ليهم نفس المعنى ما نقعدش نكتبهم. Choose the best one and write it. The best one and write it. عشان كده بنقول don't use synonyms. Don't use synonyms. احنا بنلخص مش عمالين بننقل. Number 7, avoid repetitions. Avoid repetition. If there is a terminology or a specific name in many sentences, try to summarize these sentences using the terminology once and then use the pronouns instead. What does it mean? In the original text, if there is a recurrent terminology in many sentences or a recurrent scientific name in many sentences, and when I summarize, I need to mention this terminology, I need to mention this name. It's important for the summary, for the meaning and needed in the summary. If I want to write them in my summary, it's not logical to repeat them as they are repeated in the original text. For example, a specific terminology is repeated 5 times in the original text. It's not correct to repeat it 5 times in my summary because I need it. I repeat it 5 times. No, it's not correct. I write it. I have 2 techniques or 2 steps in using the terminology or anything, any scientific name that's repeated in the original text. I have 2 major steps in rewriting it in my summary. First, when I mention the terminology or I mention that specific name, I write it completely as it is. I write it completely as it is. Then, number 2, if I want to repeat it in another sentence, I refer to it using a pronoun. I don't write it as it is again. I don't write it completely. I don't write the terminology completely, or I don't write the specific scientific name completely as it is. I refer to them using pronouns. These are 2 major steps. Not that you have to use simple sentences, very short sentences. أنا كنت من الترم اللي فات بقول لكم يا جماعة use short sentence present simple tense. نفس الشيء بنعمله في السمري. Write simple sentences, short sentences, simple grammar. It's nice for you and it's very easy for you to write correctly without mistakes. طيب لأنه نقول إن أنا عندي مثلا 5 sentences. The terminology is mentioned in 5 sentences. I need to write them in 2 sentences. I'll summarize them in 2 sentences. Okay, write the terminology completely as it is in the first sentence and then refer to it by a pronoun in the second sentence. طيب, I have another way of writing it. I can write the 5 sentences or summarize the 5 sentences in one long sentence. It's better for me. But if you are in control, if you are in control of your language, of your grammar, of your style, writing style and your structure, لو تقدر تكتب جملة طويلة بتكون complex شوية, it's better وتحط فيها, تضم فيها السمري بتاع الكذا جملة اللي بيتكلموا عن terminology معين أو specific scientific name. If you can't, divide into short sentences, وزي ما قلنا ما تعملش repetition للترمينولوجي أو الاسم أو المعنى اللي عندك, لكن أول مرة بتذكره زي ما هو, بعد كده بنرجع نشير إليه باستخدام البروناون. This is number 7. انتوا لو لاحظتوا حتى الآن عمالين نقول إيه, don't, ignore, avoid. عارفين اللي هي common mistakes during writing summaries. We need now to be away from this, or to leave these common mistakes in order to be able to write correct summaries. Let's see number 8. If there are abbreviations, write the words in full at the first time with the abbreviation between brackets. Then use the abbreviation only. يعني ايه؟ لسه قايلين من شوية لما يكون عندي specific terminology or specific scientific name and I want to repeat it in many sentences or refer to them in many sentences, I use the basic terminology as it is in the first time, and then I refer to them using the pronoun. The same now, if I have a specific abbreviation or specific abbreviations in the original text, again, in writing my summary, I cannot write the abbreviation directly. I cannot write the abbreviation directly, especially if I'm going to repeat this abbreviation or to refer to it more than once in my summary. لو أنا عندي abbreviation وهضطر استخدمه كذا مرة في السمري بتاعي في 2 sentences or more, يبقى برضو بعمل نفس الشيء اللي عملته في الترمينولوجي. I write the full, I write the words in full in the first sentence بفتح 2 brackets وبحط فيهم abbreviation، كأني بقول أنا هستخدم abbreviation ده للإكسبريشن ده في السنتنسز اللي جاية. بعد كده لما باجي في النكست sentence لو حبيت أشير لنفس النيم خلاص بستخدم abbreviation، لأن هو عرفت من الجملة اللي قبلها إيه هو abbreviation ده بيشير إلى إيه. أو write the words if there are abbreviations. Write the words in full at the first time with the abbreviation between brackets. Then use the abbreviation only. عندي هنا example لما أقول rapid eye movement sleep. Rapid eye movement sleep. And I'm going to use this expression many times in my summary. So it's not good to write rapid eye movement sleep each time. And it's not correct to use the abbreviation from the first sentence, and because if you write an abbreviation, the reader will ask, this abbreviation refers to what? So I have to be clear. Even in my summary I have to be clear. أنا عندي expression معين هستخدمه كذا مرة في السمري، يبقى في الحالة دي أول مرة بس بكتبه زي ما هو بالكامل وبفتح قوسين وبكتب الابريفيشن الخاص بيه. rapid, R for rapid, E for I, M for movement. يبقى REM rapid eye movement اللي هي أحد أنواع النوم. rapid eye movement sleep. بعد كده لو أنا حبيت أستخدم نفس الإكسبريشن ده في السمري تاني خلاص مش هكتبه بالكامل، لكن هستخدم الابريفيشن اللي أنا أشرت إليه في أول مرة. Then we use the REM only in the rest of the summary. Okay, I think it's clear now. Let's see number 9. If there are statistics, tables, or comparisons, don't write them in your summary. If there are statistics، عندي statistics، عندي tables or comparisons في original text، I don't write them in my summary. But what should I do? I write the final conclusions of these statistics, the final conclusions of these tables. يعني for example, I have a statistic in the original text. When I write a summary, I see what is the conclusion of this statistic, and I write the conclusion. The statistics, I refer to them, the statistics of so and so and so concluded or come out with the conclusion that, or come out with the result that so and so. بكتب بس نتيجة الإحصائية كانت إيه. عندي تيبل معين، عندي comparison، ما أقومش أنقل comparison زي ما هي، هقول in comparing so and so it is resulted that بس على طول بكتب نتيجة الcomparison كانت إيه. Number 10. Write the adjectives only when necessary. Write the adjectives only when necessary. Sometimes in the original text, usually in the original text, the writer feels free to use adjectives, to use synonyms, to make repetitions. But when you are writing a summary, it's not the space, it's not the time to make these repetitions and write these adjectives again, rewrite them. No, you are to the point. You are to the point. انت مركز على النقاط الأساسية، مش وقت ان احنا نعمل تكرار وان احنا نحط صفات وما إلى ذلك. So write the adjectives only when necessary. We ignore adjectives just like we ignore synonyms, but if there is a specific essential adjective, we have to write it. Number 11. Don't think of the numbers of lines. Don't think of the numbers of lines. Concentrate only on the main ideas. يعني لو ما فرضش عليك number معين lines of the summary، أو حتى لو فرض عليك ما نلاقيكش ان انت مركز قوي ان انا هو عايز مني summary في 10 سطور، يبقى انت تقعد تنقي هاخد الجملة دي واسيب دي، اخد دي واسيب دي. لا، انت بتعمل ايه؟ انت بتقرأ زي بنفس الطريقة اللي احنا قلنا عليها، بتعرف الفكرة الرئيسية للقطعة كلها، وبتبدأ تلخصها زي ما فهمتها بنفس الخطوات اللي احنا قلنا عليها بالظبط. ايه الحاجات اللي بتعمل avoid و don't do so and so، ولو عندي statistics، لو عندي synonyms، لو عندي terminologies، لو عندي abbreviations بعمل لهم ايه، لو عندي adjectives بعمل لهم ايه. وبرجع اكتب السمري بتاعي بالكامل علشان اللي يهمني انه يطلع بافكار منظمه ومفهومه ودايركت، حاجات عارفين ايه to the point، داخله في الموضوع مباشره وبتوضح الفكره بمنتهى التركيز. انت طلب منك بقى 10 سطور، لقيت نفسك كاتب 12، اتس اوكي على فكره. دايما احنا بناخدها يعني انت بلس اور ماينس مثلا 5%. فلو انت عندك مطلوب منك 10 عملتهم 12 خلاص بنقبلهم، عملتهم 8 بس مركزين وكويسين جدا بنقبلهم. طب افرض بقى طلعوا 13 14 لا it's too much، طلعوا 5 6 برضو مش كويس. ترجع تقرا تاني وبتحاول ان انت لو انت عندك more than required بتحاول ان انت تشوف ايه الزيادات اللي انت عملتها ملهاش لازمه. هتلاقي اكيد حاجات وهتبدا تشيلها بدون ما تاثر على المعنى. طيب لقيت ان انت ملخص زياده عن اللزوم، انت مطلوب منك مثلا 10 lines وانت عامل مثلا 7 lines، يبقى في الحاله دي بتشوف عندك ايه الحاجات اللي انت تجاهلتها وكانت essential او كانت needed فعلا. جمله عملتها too short ممكن تطولها شويه بحيث ان برضو يكون تقرب من المطلوب منك، بس اهم حاجه ان يكون the ideas are clear, concentrated، ويكون there is a cohesion، لازم يكون في cohesion، لازم يكون الأفكار مترابطة وفكرة تقود إلى التانية. لما أقرأ السمري أستمتع بيه لدرجة إن أنا أدور على الأوريجينال، أدور على التكست الأصلي عشان أقرأه، لأن السمري اداني فكرة رائعة عن التكست الأصلي. Let's see number 12. Finally, let's end our summary now. These are final tips. Each sentence in your summary must introduce new information. ليه هنقول كل جملة عندك في السمري لازم تديني new information؟ ما هو ده طبيعي لأن أنا من الأول عملت avoided repetitions, avoided synonyms, avoided repetition of terminologies or scientific names or certain expressions عملت لها abbreviations. فطبيعي ان انا ما عنديش repetitions اصلا من الاول، وانا I'm to the point, I'm concentrating on the main ideas. Logically there wouldn't be any repetitions and each sentence will introduce a new information. Number 13 be direct، زي ما قلت لكم to the point، على طول ادخل في الكلام. و be direct دي هتبقى من البداية واضحة لأن أنت you didn't write introductions، أنت دخلت في الموضوع على طول بدون مقدمات. دي الحالة الوحيدة اللي بنسمح فيها أثناء الكتابة بأن احنا ما تعملش introductions أو topic sentence لما بتكون تعمل summary. الحتة دي بقى مش وقتها خالص. be concise خليك كده ايه مركز، and precise لخص على قد ما تقدر as possible. be direct, concise and precise as possible. I hope this is clear for you and easy. Inshallah you'll be able to answer the assignment inshallah. Let's see the required assignment. Translate and summarize the attached passage. Sleep. Translate and summarize the attached passage. انتوا هتلاقوا عندكم على الجوجل درايف الخاص بكلية صيدلة، طبعا هتلاقي الفولدر الخاص بإنجلش 2، هتلاقوا وورد فايل بعنوان lecture 4 week 6. week 6 هتلاقوا فيه two passages. One passage titled sleep and one passage titled ethanol. هو المفروض الاثنين كانوا عليكم مقررين عليكم، بس بما اننا we are trying to lessen the requirements as far as possible فكفاية عليكم sleep. طيب sleep دي هنعمل فيها ايه؟ First translate the passage. You have to translate it لان لازم يكون عندنا translation question in the final exam, inshallah. Then summarize. You will follow the previous 13 steps and try to apply them in your summary. I didn't require certain or fixed number of lines, but I think 15 is enough. And you can write less than 15, inshallah. Less than 15, 13 or 12 will be okay. So translate and summarize the passage titled Sleep. Inshallah, today's lesson is clear, easy to understand. If you have any questions, you can contact me. You have many channels to contact me. Inshallah, you will be able to. I'll be able to answer your questions. I'm asking you not to worry, not to panic. Everything will be okay, inshallah. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.